Great, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, February the 24th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council other than Jen, and staff are all here. So once we get to agenda item number 6, we'll be asking to table that discussion as we did not get it advertised. And so the public hearing, if we table that, won't be held tonight. So first standard agenda item, approval of the February 10th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet.
So moved.
There's been a motion by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. Motion by John, second by Travis to approve the February 10th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Next, we move on to claims for payment for today, February 24th. I'll start with Rob for questions.
No questions.
Okay, John?
None, thank you.
Okay, Travis?
None, thank you.
Tim?
None, so moved.
Been a motion by Tim. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Rob. Motion and a second for claims for payment for February 24th. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And that passes 4-0. Next is open business from the community. Hearing none, we'll move to our mayor's report. Our sympathy to Mike DeBryan and his family with the death of Mike's father, John. John passed away on Saturday, February the 13th. Mike, our thoughts and our prayers are with you and your family. We congratulate the West Sioux wrestling team and the 5 individuals that wrestled very well at the state tournament. Their hard work and dedication paid off with great success. Our thanks to the coaches for their commitment and time in coaching these successful athletes. My thanks to our staff for putting together the budget and to our city council members for going through the budget and coming up with the final numbers. Every year it is not an easy task to get to the final draft. There are many hard discussions and decisions to be made. My thanks to each of you for your dedication to our community as you serve on the City Council. Lastly, we have an opportunity for volunteerism in our community. We will be hosting a Habitat for Humanity house. They will be having a meeting from 6:30 to 7:30 at our public library on Tuesday, March the 2nd. This will be an opportunity for families to get more information on if they wish to be maybe thought of to be the owner of that house, and also folks that wish to do volunteerism. So there'll be a lot of opportunity for us to come together and do something wonderful as a community. I think what a great opportunity after the COVID year and everything else that we've endured, that we can come together and help a family in the city of Hawarden. So I hope there's a lot of turnout for that and a lot of interest for that. We'll move next to staff reports. Jacob, anything from you?
Nothing else. We'll talk about it.
Okay, thank you. Travis, anything from you, please?
Later on in the council meeting, we'll be discussing the natural gas prices, but I wanted to discuss the electrical side of it. There's been some information in the news last week, Monday, Tuesday, on them really cold days. We had some roving blackouts that did happen to some of our neighboring towns of Denison, Iowa, Valley City, North Dakota, Moorhead, Minnesota, and Winter, South Dakota. And 5 additional towns were contacted that they would possibly have to curtail and have an outage to help save the power lines and all the equipment. What happened was the demand was higher than what we could generate at the time, and the power lines themselves can only handle so much current. So they're trying to get all this power to certain towns, certain areas. Well, they hit a point where it was at the breaking point, so they had to call some communities and say, hey, we're gonna shut you down. And actually the first 2, they didn't even get a notice. Denison and Valley City, North Dakota, They just hit the switch and shut them off, and then notified them later what was going on. We were fortunate to not be one of those towns that were picked or one of the areas, but that's always a concern when the demand is spiking from the cold temperatures and when it's really cold like that, the wind doesn't blow, so all the wind turbines weren't generating. Natural gas was at a low, so a lot of the natural gas generation was offline as well. So that helped or hurt us since we weren't able to generate the amount of demand that we needed. So, yeah, I just wanted to cover a little bit on that electric side, so everybody was aware what happened and why it happened. So,
Thank you. Larry?
A number of things going on. Both current businesses and prospect projects have been on the uptick, which is good. We're progressing with activities with People's Bank with their new location, Big Sioux with their new location. We're also working on a retailer to take one half of a building in downtown, renting it from the building owner. We currently have 2 revolving loan fund apps in at this time. Also, we're working on an industrial project that's looking at a location in town and a location just north of town in the old Timber Roots building. Let's see. We also have a prospect looking into the corner location at 10th and Central, the building owned by Arturo and other partners in there. So we're hopeful that that one will come together and fill that particular location. I have been also kind of gearing up in my presidential role on the chamber, and so that's involved a lot of meeting with the chamber president, going over financials and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot to kind of get my head around, but wanted to know that I'd started doing a lot of that over the past couple weeks. We've also been working together with Northwest Iowa Development and PDI, Professional Developers of Iowa, about this new TIF law that could possibly come into effect. And so we're following that closely and working as a region to respond to that. Also, Chamber Development is talking about future projects they might be working on, so we're continuing to be part of that. Our bakery is progressing. That's the bakery that's Showroom Suites down on 10th Street next to the Quick Stop. As you can see, they've got most of everything wrapped in. They're doing the interior improvements at this time, and we're hoping that they'll be opening up here before summertime and selling their suites, hopefully all around Hawarden. Roosters has been pretty busy from not only what I've seen, but what others have reported. So we're glad that they have been successful so far. They all are also one of our revolving loan fund projects. So it's good, especially being in the loan department, that we're seeing good business with our businesses. That means our loans get paid back. And then just in addition to Habitat, I did want to mention, in addition to what the mayor was saying, is that a number of our local businesses have stepped up and either volunteered time or volunteered equipment for that. Kurt, who is the Habitat rep in this area, has been out visiting with our businesses, and we have seen some of our businesses step up. So I want to thank them and congratulate them for stepping up and doing that. And last but not least, we're still continuing moving forward with the community magazine. We're getting more and more of the pages put together, and ad sales are actually pretty good. So it looks like we may be expanding the number of pages in that community magazine. So, that's all.
Thank you very much. Corey, please.
Just real quick, want to run over the snow removal parking. This last shot of snow we had, 45 more notices issued or citations, tickets, whatever you want to call them. Had a lot of people upset about it. And I just kind of want to reiterate why we have it the way that we have it, where every street is a snow emergency. We consider it that way so we can provide clean streets. I mean, first and foremost, and we can do it in a safe manner for the plows when they're out driving. They don't have obstructions that they have to go around. We hear a lot about, well, if it's an inch, if it's 2 inches, the code doesn't say. we've had some people say that they want us to only do it when their plow's out. I don't know when the plows are coming out or when they're not coming out. So, there's a lot of opinions that are out there, but the code just basically says that you can't park on the street during any snow, ice, storm, and up to 12 hours after the cessation of that. So once it stops, 12 hours after that. And yet the caveat to all of it is you still can't park there until the street's been cleaned from curb to curb. So you have 3 different elements that prevent you from parking there until it's cleaned out. So we try to explain it to them, even if it's not enough. I know we had one last year that was in early spring before the streets froze, so the plows couldn't be out, and we had some upset people about that. But still, we still try to get the plows out to at least drop some sand and gravel to create some, some traction at stop signs and stuff like that. We just want safe roadways and, try to make it so it's a easier way around town for everybody.
Do you think we should change the ordinance, or are you recommending anything, or just?
You know what? It's all gonna depend on you guys and what you think. I mean, all we do is enforce what's
Yeah, I know,
written.
but should we have a minimum, you think? Would that be logical to say 2 inches or something?
Out of the 45 citations, I probably had 5 people complain. And so, I mean, a lot of them are repeat offenders that know it and just didn't get their vehicle moved or didn't even know it was gonna snow, or at least have, accumulation, and sometimes you just kind of play that lotto. But, I think it's important, that we just keep it the way that it is, I guess, because, Travis has guys that are out there plowing the streets, somebody's, 1 inch on the north side of town and 2 inches on the south side of town, and, we're gonna play that game. I think if we just enforce what we already have, it might be better, unless you guys have a different solution.
I'm just curious what you thought.
Do we have a set amount that we go out and plow, or
Even an inch, still want to go out and hit the hard streets, concrete streets. I mean, it's not fair to say, Abbeville, 16th Street, Central, we're gonna plow those. So maybe
No,
those people don't park, so it's easy to say, if it snows at all, don't park in the street.
I just noticed that some streets didn't get plowed. And I was just wondering, is there a set amount where we do plow, or we don't plow, or?
I think that's
At
part
some
of the
point.
confusion, and I don't know how it works, Travis, but I know on Sunday, I think somebody came out with a plow, and it looked like they just made one swatch down each street, or as many as they could, the main thoroughfares, just to get something off of the road, but it wasn't their cleanup process, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's what they do on the weekends, or their on-call time, or,
It's just depending on the amount.
Right. Sure. Okay.
I think that's why you see a lot of your communities, especially in our area, that just have no parking on the streets from November 1st to April 1st, period. Overnight from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. They just don't allow it at all. I've addressed previous councils on that as well, and they thought that might cause a hardship on people as well, so. You want to make people mad, though, give them a $20 ticket that you can, just does. And it leaves it open for interpretation. I mean, our code leaves it open for those times where the plow may not come out, or those times that, it may have only been an inch, or those times that we went to bed at 11 and it wasn't snowing yet, so.
And on the other side of it too, it's not like we're going out and just itching to write a bunch of these notices. We hear it from the guys that run the plows that, hey, this vehicle's been parked here, we've had to go around it. And if we drive by it and you can see a 4-foot drift that, they've plowed around it 3 or 4 times, they're gonna get a ticket, and once you kind of get into that, these guys at night, they'll try to get as many as they can, but we miss just as many. And like I made in my report earlier this year, is that we haven't written that many. It was just this last snowstorm, and it was just another one of those odd times. But
I think the code is written well, and just follow it.
I think too many people rely on parking on the street, that it would hurt them more so than the few that get tickets.
Thank you. Any other questions or thoughts from council for Staff members? Or do you have any general comments that you wish to make at this time under agenda item 2C? Hearing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3, discussion on natural gas pricing. And we'll bring Travis back up, please.
Start out with a little history on our natural gas buying process. We purchase natural gas daily the day before for the next day's volume that we think we'll need based on historic numbers, temperature. And this winter, we had 83% of our heating season already pre-purchased at a certain amount and sitting there waiting to use. And out of that 83%, 40% is purchased long-term, 5 years out. We purchase X amount every year through the winter for 5 years. And then we have another 30% in our PIFA purchases and our Carlton allocations. And then we also, every summer, we try and buy 5 to 10%, and we put that into storage, and then to use that in the winter months. Any extra that's needed, we have to purchase that on an open market for the daily spot price. This winter, those prices have been great, between $2 and $3. On some days, it's actually, it's been a mild winter, so sometimes those prices are less than what we bought our 5-year gas for, but that's just, the way it is. When it's warm, there's abundance of gas, so the prices are cheaper. And the 83%, that's based on an average winter, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, through November, December, January, February. Then it all changed last Thursday, February 11th, when the temperatures started to plunge. With the plummeting temperatures, the biggest problem is that vortex went all the way to Texas. If that cold weather would kind of stopped at Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, the well fields are in Kansas and Texas, and they're drilling for oil. They're pulling up natural gas, and they're selling it back to the system. Well, when that plummeting temperatures went into Texas, it was freezing off the wellheads. They have no protection for that because very seldom do they see freezing temperatures, let alone the type of temperatures they were getting over the weekend. So this pushed the prices up to a record high. We were buying spot gas between $2 and $3. It went up between $200 and $240. So it went up 100 times normal price for the day. And then we buy gas at 2 DMARC stations. Ventura North is the main one. And some prices got as high as $600 per MMBTU. And then with Monday being President's Day, we usually purchase gas on Friday for Saturday, Sunday. So we had to buy it for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, since we weren't here Monday, to buy it for Tuesday because they were out. So we basically bought gas for 4 days that Friday, and then we were locked in at $205 per MFBTU for those 4 days. And then on Tuesday, it was even worse. When they came in to start, the market opened up. The well fields were still frozen, but Texas was starting to have power outages. So they had whole fields where they might have had a couple wells that they were able to keep going. Well, when the power goes out, they have to stop pumping because they can't control the pressures. So not only do you have frozen gas wells, then you have power outages on top of it. That pushed the prices up to $1,000 per MMBTU in portions of Oklahoma. We were fortunate. Ours stayed. We got ours locked in at $214. I mean, I say fortunate. It's not fortunate. I mean, it's still astronomically high, and basically, the only thing you can say is it's the market. You know, the demand was so high and the volume that they were able to produce was so low, and you have to buy it. You know, you have houses that rely on natural gas to heat their homes. You just have to pay it and see how it comes out in the wash, basically. One thing going forward to note that APGA has written a letter to the president asking him for assistance to possibly look at capping. You know, I don't know how you cap a market, but there has to be some kind of cap where when this prices start getting so high that, you know, you have to say, whoa, this is it. You know, this is all we can pay for it. Put this in perspective, for those 5 days of natural gas, we're going to be billed $494,000, and that's what I budgeted for the whole year. We're going to spend that in 5 days. This is going to be paid out of our natural gas reserves. Luckily, we've got the money sitting there, and we're able to pay our next month's bill. But unfortunately, this is going to be spread out onto the customers. Our plan going forward then would be bill like we normally would in March for February's consumption. Customers that are on the level pay will see their level pay increase, and then they'll basically pay that off over the next 12 months. Customers wants to come in and pay it all right away and be done with it, that's fine. Otherwise, we're going to try and do a 6-month pay plan with everyone else on the difference of their bill. And just to give a couple numbers, an average fairly cold month, a resident will see 160 CCF usage. So a normal month, their bill would be $146. We're looking at an increase of 4 times the average. So that bill would look like $552 just on the gas consumption portion. So the difference would be $405 for an increase. So that difference is what we're going to try and spread out over 6 months, or if they're on a level pay, it'd be over 12 months. And that's just a residential average. Commercial average is going to be hit a little harder. A normal bill would be $300. They're going to be looking at $1,138, with a difference of $836. You start looking at some large customers, hospital, school. Normally have a $5,000 bill. They're going to be looking at a $20,000 bill. Every bill is pretty much going to be 4 times what it normally would have been had we not had 5 days of astronomical pricing. Every town around is in the same position. Orange City, Sioux Center, Rock Rapids, Alton, Hartley. We've kind of been in discussion with each other. How is everybody handling it? And for the most part, this is the plan going forward for almost all of them, is to bill out the normal bill, even how high it's going to be, and then level payment people out that need it, and just kind of soften the blow as much as we can. We also intend to push the information out to customers before they get their next bill. Hopefully they'll see it on this recording with the newspaper. We're going to do an article. We're going to put out letters to all the customers, explaining everything that I just did with you, and then social media as well. Just, we don't want anybody getting the bill and being surprised. We'd rather have them, if they need to come in and talk or give us a call. I can explain it as best I can, but it's the market. It was the nature of the weather. So many factors that just led into it. everyone, all the other towns too, they have the same 5-year plan. They buy gas ahead. They're all sitting about 80% too on a regular winter. You might look at that and say, well, why don't you buy 100% ahead, you know, and try and curb this in case it happens again. Well, there's the last 2 months, we've actually sold a little bit of gas back because we were that 80% covered a really mild winter. So then you're selling gas back at a loss because you already have so much allocated and you're already over, so then you're losing money. So the 80% is what the golden rule that we've used for quite a while, and it's worked great in the past. I think it was 2017, in January 18. This kind of happened, the same thing. It was only for 2 or 3 days. They had a pumping station go bad, some wells freeze, and we saw $45 gas, MMBTU. And remember then it was a big deal, and wow, we've never seen prices like this before. And then here we are with this. This was a major one, though. This affects Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri. The whole swath of the Midwest is paying these huge prices. So we did the best we could to not have this happen, but it happened. So we're just going to have to work through it. Any questions while I'm here at the mic?
Consumer will just come in then and visit with Tracy.
Yes, she'll be handling a lot of the level payments, the extra, if under some circumstances, if someone says, hey, I can't even do this in 6 months, come in, we can get you on a payment agreement. We're going to work with everybody. So.
Yeah, you've heard stories of, all over. Those people that got,
Yeah,
in Texas got,
well, they're getting their electric bills because they can buy their electricity from different people, and if they were buying gas at that price, their electric bills were, some lady had $10,000 bill.
I was wondering about our electrical rates. Are we going to be?
Our electrical rates are going to be good. We were fortunate enough, Missouri River Energy. Number one, we get our 80% of our power through WAPA, which is the dams. And then the extra we buy on the market through Missouri River Energy. There's such a big group of us. There's some generation too within the group. And they had all their generators running, not only to bring down their load, but they had extra they were selling back on the market. So with all that, MRAS does not anticipate any electrical increases for that month, even those 5 days. So that's a bonus, I guess, if there is any.
thank you. Obviously, no questions, we'll move on. Okay. Pardon me. Move on to discussion of the fiscal year 22 general fund and enterprise fund budgets. We've gone through those pretty extensively the last number of meetings. Worked really hard to keep levy low. Do you want to make comments, Mike, or do council members have questions or concerns?
If council has questions or concerns, I'll field those, as well as it turned up that the levy will go up about 34.464 cents. That was mitigated some with the contribution changes to the chamber and the golf course equipment.
For the electric, can the AMI units be bought over
2 years, or is that something that can be adjusted? I don't know if there's a benefit in buying them all at once. The 260,000 for those
Oh, right, that's,
units.
that's to get all the electric meters, all the equipment.
Yeah. And there's a benefit to doing it all at once, or we need to do it all this year?
Well, the benefit is the meters, it's a mesh system, so if you don't deploy all of them, or at least, I mean, one way we could do is to do part of town, that all meshes together. The other plan was to get electric meters, get that mesh up and going, and then the others would be added.
As we went.
And we looked at that cost, and I know that cost is quite a bit, but we're able to do it within the budgeted numbers, not have to take anything out of reserves or anything for it. So it's just nice to get everything in at the same price and just move forward.
I was looking through the underground electric. We've done a lot of shift from overhead lines to underground. How much is still left out there to do, or are we kind of getting that wrapped up?
Yeah, what we have left is 19th Street North on Avenue D, all the way to LGFs. The plan there is that it's gonna be engineered, not this next year, 2 years, once the electric AMI is up and running. Then that'll be engineered, and then we'll pick a little bit off at a time, 6 blocks. Work on that on our own. I think we plan on getting a contractor in to really do some boring.
Because I think there was, what, 17,000 budgeted for that again this year? Am I wrong? Correct.
Was it just specifically for that? That might be to finish up some of that stuff that's in the south area as well, but.
I was just wondering when we can complete that.
Budgeting for
Not-
that?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I
You know, I think once we get it engineered, we feel that our crews can knock it out except for the boring. So we'll just take a little bit on our time, which will be really smaller projects. We could look at doing it as one big project as well and having somebody come in, but you're going to pay more.
Sure.
And we're looking at leaving it overhead from past any Peters, that end. Those poles have been replaced within the last 15 years. We just put up a neutral, you know, did some switching out there. So the thought was to maybe keep that overhead for an extended period of time.
From there to Everest, it would cost us a lot more just to bore and feed that one customer way out there, since it's such, you know, a long to put that underground, so.
Sounds-
So are we done then? Make a resolution? Is that what you're waiting for?
If
I'm
you
just
got more
waiting for more
questions, I'll take
questions.
those, otherwise,
I'm just,
we can
does
go on to
anybody
the
else
next
have-
one.
Anybody have a question? So move then.
Hold on just a second, that'll be on agenda item number 5. Once we're,
Oh, sorry.
are we done with 4?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. That moves us then to Resolution 2021-11, adopting a final proposed draft budget for publication and ordering a notice of public hearing for March the 24th on the proposed final budget estimate for fiscal year 21-22. Motion by Tim, is that correct for that
That's
resolution? Okay, is there a second to that motion? Motion and a second for Resolution 2021-11, as I just noted. A call for a roll call vote, please, for that.
Olson,
Aye.
Kurth,
Aye.
Clucky,
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 4-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2021-11 passes. Mentioned earlier, thanks everyone for their work and their study of the budget. Agenda item number 6A was a public hearing regarding the final disposition of the public real estate property at 1005 Central. That had been followed by Resolution 2021-12, authorizing the final disposition. Understand we need to table that at this time, is that correct?
That'd be correct. We didn't get the publication in the paper in time, so.
Okay, and that'll just be how it is, and
Yep, and so next meeting, we'll actually start over with ordering the publication so we'll start over what we did last meeting and then go to finish it up at the end of March.
okay, so a table is correct with that, Mr. Pickner?
Yeah, that, if we can't do it, we didn't publish.
Okay.
Make a motion to table 6A and B.
And a motion by Travis, is there a second? Seconded by Tim. This is to table agenda item number 6A and B. Roll call vote, please, for that table motion. Don't need one? Okay, call for a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. That is tabled. Next is approval of the Union County Fire Contract Renewal. We covered quite a bit across the river. You want to discuss that for us, please?
Right, we've had contracts for part of Union County for years. Most of the contracts have had pay scales with them. The last one we passed was in 2012 and had, the pay scale basically wasn't applicable anymore because it kind of ran out, so they were paying us the fifth-year rate for the last couple of years. I did get a call from Union County last fall asking us to renew the contract. These have been sent to Jim. They got to be filed with the Secretary of State. Changes have been made. They're agreeable onto both sides. The pay scale will start out at 6,600 and top out at 7,000. It's somewhat of a smaller district than the next one we're going to go over, and they tax on that different. That's why you're going to see that amount less than the West Sioux contract that's coming up.
Is there a motion for the approval of the Union County Fire Contract Renewal?
So moved.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor then of the approval of the Union County Fire Contract Renewal, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. As Mike mentioned, agenda item number 8, the approval of the West Sioux District Fire Contract. Covers a little more territory. Contract is larger. Is that pretty similar in obviously what we do and how we get there and everything else?
Correct, yep. It covers several different townships in Sioux County. And so it's called the West Sioux Fire District since they all pay into that one. Here again, we upgraded the fee service scale and things like that. It's been sent out to both parties and agreeable. I recommend we move forward with it.
And again, a 5-year contract that's helpful for everyone.
Yes.
So moved.
There's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tim. This motion and second is for the approval of the West Sioux District Fire Contract Renewal. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Those opposed? It passes 4-0. Also gives us opportunity again to thank our volunteers in the fire department. Consent agenda number A and B is the request from Dollar General for an off-premise beer and wine and an ownership update. Did somebody buy Dollar General or?
No, sometimes when the corporate heads change, then they have to do the ownership update.
Okay. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
seconded by Rob. All in favor then of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 4-0. Appreciate the staff's time tonight, the information we received on the gas and all those types of things, willingness of our city to help our citizens in that regard. Our next regular city council meeting will be March the 10th. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Hawarden City Council's adjourned at 6:11. Thank you so much for your attendance.